are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Art and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll do it live.
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Annegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little tall on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi. Welcome to Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Annegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. And day 2 of the NCAA tournament. Getting ready to tip off with Northwestern and Colgate. Northwestern in Florida Atlantic. Colgate and Baylor, excuse me. Second game getting ready to go here. How was your first day? There was plenty, as always, in the NCAA tournament. Kentucky upset, probably the biggest story of the first day. Kansas nearly blew a 22-point lead, the most controversial call of the day. Well, I don't know, not even controversial, just a blown call on a block that would have put Samford in pretty good shape near the end of that game. Rough day for the Southeastern Conference, save Tennessee. Some of the popular upset choices did not come out, like Drake and, of course, McNeese. Rough go for Will Wade's crew as Gonzaga really took control of the game pretty much from jump and coasted to a 21-point victory. BYU was knocked out. And, we saw a lot of stuff yesterday, Jimmy. What was your headliner from day one?
Charlie, it's 32 games in the first round, okay? 64 teams. There's one player that I highlighted as far as the disparity in the lopsided approach of his field goal attempts. 353s, 8 twos. They don't have enough in their budget to look at film at Kentucky. Yeah. How is he getting that clean of looks over and over and over? If we are sitting here in Baton Rouge working on zero budget, what is John Calipari's excuse for acting like they're completely surprised they had no clue that this guy just parks it behind the arc? How? There's some things where, look, he's an easy target today. He's got all the resources. He's lost, what is it? Is it 2-8 or 2-10? The last 2-8 the last 10 games straight up.
Yeah, and it's 4 times as a 4-seed or more in the last 6 tournaments, I think.
No, they're losing pretty much every time as the chalk. But I mean, you tell me in 8 years, 8 tournaments, they've won 2 games at Kentucky. I mean, this is another 3-14, Charlie. But it's one thing we know that. To look at the game in a scouting report and to have no clue about a guy, this is about as much as Les Miles running Leonard Fournette between the tackles. It's coming.
1 tournament win in 4 seasons, 2 first-round losses to double-digit seeds in 2 of the last 3, this one and St. Peter's. So that's just the
what's his excuse for not guarding this guy on the yard? I mean, he's an easy guard. Yeah. He's not cutting. He's just hanging.
The story of is going to be about Kentucky's young players against older players. But you make a point. This has got nothing to do with age. This has got everything to do with the scouting report.
Again, didn't say it. Not saying it after the fact.
Yeah.
Guy hit 10 threes on him. Yeah. No. Yeah. This is of note. This guy's lopsided approach is like nobody we've ever talked about. And and that to me makes it an easier guard. And for them to have no clue, that's bad. That is bad.
What has been the narrative on Kentucky all year? Not young players.
No defense. Right.
That's save that 3-game stretch in February, which included the LSU game. They have been a terrible defensive team.
Well, part of that is coaching.
A lot of that is coaching.
And part of that is
Don't tell me they don't have athletes.
well, you hand pick your guys, and you know what? Some of them give out and do a little bit more of the dirty works, defend and rebound at the high school level when you're evaluating them.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, some just like to coast on the perimeter and don't like that big guy. What's he doing just floating out there, man? Get your butt down low a little bit, And so, no. He handpicks these guys. And the biggest thing is about his roster makeup that I've always been. I mean, you tell me I can't take the best player in the state of Kentucky that has very few offers, elsewhere.
The guy that's not going to play in the NBA.
That guy's going to be at my program 5 years.
Yeah.
And I won a year. And there's no balance to that roster makeup. And that's not something I'm saying. That's Charlie. You see what Shepard shot from 3-point range this year?
I don't have the number in front of me, but I would imagine it's
over 50%. Yeah. Man, he's just a bad coach. He's a promoter. You get the sideshow and this and that, and he's coached all these pros, and they always have this uber talented but uber young. He's a bad coach. You can't pull that crap he pulled to defend it. Look, completely transparent here. I had Oakland. I cashed in. I'm glad. Okay,
right.
But that's so bad. To let that guy have as many looks as he did.
Jay Wright said this in the post game last night. He said basically what a lot of people were talking about is you really can't in college basketball build a roster like that and hope to compete at the level that Kentucky wants to compete at.
Go ahead, Jay Wright. Jimmy Ott's been saying it for 10 years.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the difference.
There's no balance.
There's no balance. Okay. The kid you're talking about, Golke, is almost 25. Okay, he's 24 years old. He's going to be 25 later this year.
Guy from North Carolina is almost 26.
Yeah, he's a graduate student, and even though the COVID year eligibility stuff is going to expire, you still have graduate transfers all over the place. And now that you can make some money in college basketball legally, a lot of these guys that would have gone pro are sticking around in college.
Why?
And there's got to be
I like
more
it.
experience.
I don't like Kentucky having all the advantages and just going through it. I like if guys were. I think it's raised the level of play in college basketball. I mean, now if you're and listen, there's some NBA guys that are forced to talk about college basketball this week that are just blasting it and stuff like. I'm a college basketball guy. I like it. It levels the playing field. Do we not? Do we like when teams just have all the advantages?
No.
I mean, but Calipari, the roster build, yes, Jay Wright, thanks. Been saying that for a long time. But he's not a good coach. You got to have a little X and O to you, bro.
That has been whispered for a long time, that his X's and O's are not anywhere near what you would think they are for a guy that's
how many
won as many games.
of the 10 threes were in the first half?
Oh,
at least they put Dillingham a little bit more on him in the second half.
Yeah, I got to look it up.
Was it 8 of the 10 in the first half?
I don't have the split. He was 10 for 20 for the game. I don't have the first half stats in front of me, but it's like you said. It's not like it was a surprise that he came out and hits a couple, and you go, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe we should guard. That guy." I mean, the scouting report was.
It took me. I watched 2 Horizon games to get this. Man, let me look at this guy. How many? Oh, wait, no.
You think it's a misprint?
He scored less than 10 points inside the arc for the season.
The Kansas-Samford game was really exciting in the second half as Samford, who was a popular upset pick, especially with McCullough being out for Kansas, they nearly erased a 22-point lead. And the block that was wiped out late in the game was a classic anticipation call, that you are anticipating, the official anticipated the contact that never came. When I was watching this thing in real time, I wasn't real close to the TV. And he goes down. I thought, well, he must have hit him. But when you look at the replay, it's all ball. I mean, he never touches him, never
No.
makes contact. He does go to the ground, but that was because his momentum carried him underneath the goal. Does Sanford win the game if they don't call that? I don't know, but they
have a shot.
They're going to go back down. He's on the floor, so they're going to go back down 5-on-4.
Yeah, they
got a great chance.
They got a possession.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
I mean, that's you think they got the momentum?
all the momentum.
I mean, come on. I mean, they're probably finishing. I mean, you robbed them of a chance.
Yeah.
You robbed them of a chance. And how do you? And you're so right, Charlie. I mean, the anticipation. And listen, the official doesn't have the luxury of us because in real time, I said, yeah, he must have touched him. Okay,
Yeah,
but that's not how you officiate.
No, you got to see.
You don't view the same way you officiate. You cannot call what you don't see. And that's clearly a case where it looked like it, but no. You got to see it. I'd rather miss a call than make up a call.
Sure.
And kind of like in why the pass interference penalty in NFL is too severe, because you know how much difference, Charlie, between interference and a great play and great coverage.
Inches.
Okay, so what was that last night?
Inches. I mean, the
difference between that was one of the best plays in a big spot. That's what the whole tournament's about. This guy we ain't never heard about. That's a damn. That's a LeBron James, blocking a breakaway for the Warriors in Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's classic, and so that's just, and it's easy to get on the officials, but you can't make calls up, can't anticipate them, and it's classic. And that's all sports. Roger Cador and I talked about that a lot, in baseball and stuff. So, but that was unfortunate because Sanford, I think they were looking for their first win ever in a tournament. I don't think they won a game when Jimmy Tillett took them back-to-back years after Brady.
McNeese, I thought the one chance I thought that they had to get back in the game, about 5 minutes to go in the first half, they're within 12, okay? And at that point in my head, I'm thinking, if they can keep this around 10, get in the locker room, get their head back straight. If they can keep this around 10, they've got a chance in the second half. In the last 5 minutes of the game, of the first half, dominated by Gonzaga. It was a 16-5 run that it took a 12-point lead to 23, and that was essentially it. The second half, McNeese never really made.
I did as well. They looked so bad and early, and I'm like, they're not down that much, but I think from the Gonzaga perspective, the $1 million handicapping question is who sustains late season momentum, who sustains their form, who stumbles into the tournament and recaptures their form, early in season. And Gonzaga clearly has sustained their late season. They were much better the last 6 games of the season than they were for most of the season. Or if you even want to go to the last 10 games, including that trip to Kentucky that we sat here and watched one Saturday afternoon. As far as McNeese State's concerned, I could not have been more wrong in handicapping them. They are the bully. They are the intimidator. They play with physicality that is just really, really nasty and tough. Almost like some of them old Georgetown teams. They were bright-eyed. They were wide-eyed, yeah. I guess you could say. And that surprised me. Yeah, you say, how can you be surprised about a mid-major who's stepping up in class in a big way? It's their style of play. And that's the biggest thing that I got to believe that there's a few guys like Will Wade and some few that kind of watch this team over the course of the season kind of dumbfounded. How the stage was just too damn big for him.
And Gonzaga has been, we talked about it yesterday, it's this 8 straight Sweet 16s going into this tournament. They get a wounded Kansas team tomorrow. They may very well make it number 9.
Because the McNeese State played their better games against the better competition. They raised their level of play when they went to UA. Look, UAB and VCU were playing on the last day of the regular season in their tournament final. UAB got there, VCU just missed. They went to both their places and beat them by double digits. Right. The Michigan thing was that they were bad. They were bad. VCU and UAB were better. than Michigan. They went there and beat all those. So they raised their play. They went to that little where they kind of coasted a little bit, had the scare of Corpus Christi and Lamar. But then they, in the tournament, okay, it's for real now. They obliterated their competition. It was a big, big surprise, and probably to a lot of people. And hey, that's the thing about it, man. You got your one shot.
Yeah, they wouldn't be the first team to get to their first tournament and go, wow, look at this. And its stage is a little bit too big. They get back next year, probably wouldn't be the same. Although they're going to turn over most of that roster, but still,
if he stays there, they'll have a good team, no doubt, and will be overwhelming favorites in the Southland. And the way the jobs are falling, Charlie, always said the probability of him returning to Lake Charles is kind of moving. And
I think right now it's pretty good. Although the dominoes start to fall when Louisville makes their hire. I got to think that Louisville's coach next year is still coaching right now. And so after the tournament, after whoever that is, then the dominoes start to fall, and then we can start to hear something. But until that happens, I think it's probably more likely he'll be
great
back.
to be over here at the Beau Rivage. Again, man, we were having so much fun. Heck, Charlie, we got some good horse picks yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, so the first half unders went 5-9 yesterday, so that is 7-11 for the season. The early ones all went under. We had a couple of really tough ones, including the South Carolina three-quarter court to put that one over the first half. But the favorites were 9-7 against the spread, so a lot of and talking to Carl Johnson over here at Beau Rivage, a lot of dog bets. Now they bet Kentucky. They bet Kentucky and laid the points there, but a lot of dog bets. And my friends over at Circa in Las Vegas, there was 16 games yesterday. Not one game did they need the underdog. We talked about this shifting this thing. They said it's at an unbelievable rate right now.
And we talked about the upsets and everything, but a lot of the favorites. North Carolina was an easy winner. Tennessee was an easy winner. Arizona, depending on when you got the number, it could have fallen 19.5, could have fallen 20.5. The game fell 20, so that
most people at tip here at 20.5.
Yeah. There were a lot. Gonzaga was an easy winner. So we had a lot of favorites.
Great stuff over here at the Beau Rivage. If you make it, we have seen so many people from Baton Rouge and New Orleans who made the trip. So a great big group yesterday. All had their McNeese State shirts on, pulling for the Cowboys. But anyway, it's electric over here. We're glad to be here. We'll also be back here on Sunday, Ben. About a 2-hour drive from Baton Rouge. We love it, man. It never gets old here at the Beau Rivage.
Live at lunch from Biloxi, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Infinity of Baton Rouge, the certified pre-owned program. We going shopping for cars? That's where we're headed, because we love all of the things that go into the car buying experience at Infinity of Baton Rouge and the certified pre-owned program. First of all, huge selection. You're going to be able to find exactly the make, the model, the mileage, and, of course, the price that you want. The transparency and pricing makes for a very comfortable buying experience. And then you get into the extras, a year of prepaid maintenance, a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, near new car financing, roadside assistance is included, and you get a courtesy call when you bring your vehicle in for service. You're not going to have to rearrange your entire day. So, again, we're looking for a vehicle in my family. Last 3 times we have gone there on Airline Highway. We encourage you to do the same at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Art and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Slow start in game number 1, 3.5 minutes in, 4-1 Florida Atlantic over Northwestern. Second game going to tip at 11:40. That's Colgate and Baylor. All right, so that's some of the stuff that went wrong yesterday. But some of the stuff that went right. Tennessee, the regular season champion in the SEC, one and done in the SEC tournament, and a lot of people paraded the stat out, and it's an accurate stat. I just don't know if it means anything, that no team's ever won the whole thing after losing in the first round of their conference tournament. I don't know that makes a whole lot of difference. Do you put any? That's not a number that I knew before they started putting it out there, but that didn't dissuade me from how good I think
Tennessee to
is.
win it all. I mean, now you look. If you ask me who, UConn or Tennessee, okay, yeah, UConn's more likely to win it all, but there's something about repeating. Okay, there's something about the chalk. I'd rather give me something besides that.
That's your national championship game, UConn and Tennessee. That's mine.
Yeah, I didn't fill out the whole bracket, but my pick for Bet Rivers, I had to pick Final Four and in the champion, and I picked UConn, Tennessee, Houston, and Kentucky. Or no, Kentucky was going to come out of Houston, right?
No, Houston.
I picked Kentucky. They're out. So okay. I had a 30-1 ticket on them to win the whole thing.
Wow, we didn't even show each other the brackets. I got UConn, Tennessee, Houston. I took Baylor.
I took Baylor too.
We get the same Final Four.
Charlie, we're kindred spirits.
Oh my gosh.
We both have Northwestern here, and they finally hit their first bucket of the game to make it 4-4. 5 minutes in.
Your first half under's trending nicely here. But Tennessee was dominant yesterday.
I like Tennessee's team. I like the continuity. I think Barnes a little bit of a bad rap. I mean, he ain't never done something so bad as what Calipari pulled last night.
Yeah.
I think they play defense. We know that. They are a little bit better on the offensive end. And then you add a piece like Connect, who, geez, man, and that's what's crazy. Tennessee's so good, and they showed some maturity. They took care. They're the superior team last night. The stage didn't bother them, and they just put them away.
They did exactly what you want a favorite to do.
Another team last night that has a lot of return players, a high seed, but a lot of returning players that was very professional last night and how they handled it was North Carolina.
Yeah.
Baycott's played in a national championship game before. R.J. Davis, so Davis was young as a coach, but they've been there and they acted like it. One of the biggest disappointments, you mentioned it earlier, was the rest of the SEC. The SEC, I listen to a lot of national stuff and a lot of handicappers. The SEC may have been the most respected they've been going into the tournament ever.
Most
and
teams,
I'm not trying to be hyperbolic.
It's most teams have ever put in tied.
But quality teams, man. And you kind of flex your depth. Now it showed you kinks in your upper echelon teams, but it also flexed your depth on how the SEC tournament went. So you gain more respect for Auburn, for Florida, for Mississippi State, for Texas A&M. Those teams had great tournaments. Yeah. But, we'll see with Alabama. I don't believe in Alabama. I think Oates has done a great job. They just don't – man, they lost that piece from last year. That guy Miller was really, really good. Yeah. Top 3 pick or whatever it was.
He was, and he's averaging 16 points a game
in
the league as a rookie.
Charlotte,
so, he's doing good. I was surprised that Mississippi State was beaten as badly as they were. I thought that was kind of a toss-up game. Tolu Smith, we talked about it during the game yesterday. He ends up with 5 shots.
They forgot him.
Yeah.
Yes, and they did a good job. That game I like so much this year, Kentucky and Mississippi State?
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime Kentucky made a run, all right, they got a little trouble, they went to Tolu. Okay? And every time, and they forgot him yesterday. Now, there's 2 teams playing. Michigan State looked horrible for 4 weeks, and they looked great yesterday. They looked terrible, Charlie.
I know.
Terrible. And boom, they just flip a switch. Now that's what the team here is trying to do, because they made the run to the Final Four last year. They're the darling, and everybody comes back. Nobody comes back in college basketball. All the best players, all the starters, and the coach. They have everything back, and they have just looked disinterested. But then when they go play Arizona and Vegas, man, they look great. But then there are other ones where they're falling behind about 20 to South Florida, and they're going to overtime some kind of way at Texas San Antonio. So this is one that, and I'm not so sure that they go just flip that switch, thinking okay, now it's time for us to make our run again.
And we like Dusty May as a coach, but Izzo may be without peer as far as tournament coaching. We got a big Michigan State fan in our group, a guy who grew up in Michigan, and he's sitting there yesterday. A lot of us on Mississippi State. And he's like, "It's March. It's Izzo. What did you expect?" I mean, and you can't do anything but sit there and take that because it's true. His record in March is phenomenal.
I've sat there and watched him about 6 games in March and it looked like crap.
It's not foolproof, but his record's pretty good.
No, it's unbelievable. It's unreal, and that's why they bet him from the dog to the favorite.
Yeah.
But I just didn't see anything besides, Izzo's done it before in March. I bet him against him last year in the second round with Marquette, and he went to the Sweet 16 last year. He's 1 win away from going to the Sweet 16 again in one of his weakest teams. Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. At United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business. From initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments, United Community Bank is here for you. Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, David Henry, and Prentice Wilkes. Stop on by and see how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. By the sounds of the crowd early, another dog. Seems like they're on Northwestern early.
And it's a very low-scoring game, just 6-4, 6.5.
No half-court shots in this one, okay?
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Ott and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You heard Hunt Palmer talking on that promo about talking to Patrick Wright. That women's game today with LSU and Rice is at 3 o'clock at the Maravich Assembly Center. LSU, a 28.5-point favorite.
Oh, the women's tournament starting today?
They're already playing this morning. 2 games are already underway. Yeah, they're going head-to-head with the men in more time slots than they used to. Yeah.
Well, then they usually play like in the kind of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when the men are off.
They used to do that, but like I said, they're going head-to-head with them in more windows.
Huh.
Yeah.
So they are Friday, Monday.
They started
first round,
Friday, Saturday,
first
Sunday,
weekend.
Monday. Yeah. Yep.
Huh. What's you feel about that? Why go up against the men? That's dumb.
Well, I don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer for you. I can tell you that maybe ESPN's looking to fill some programming hours, but
I could tell you this: the ratings today wouldn't be as good as if they did it on Tuesday.
I think that's accurate. I think that's accurate.
I mean,
anyway. I was a programmer once in my life, but
no. This is not LSU's call.
No, this
is not. But this is the same people who put Iowa and LSU in the same bracket.
Yeah, I wonder how much input ESPN had on this because there's a lot of hours that they got to fill up against the tournament with something. This gives them.
They got 17 million talking head shows during the day.
They do. Ask Troy.
I forgot Troy's on.
Yeah, ask Troy.
You got me. You messed with me there. You threw not Troy. I apologize for his rudeness. Keep you hanging on the phone there. What's up, Troy?
Yeah, no, it's quite all right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
How bad of a coach is John Calipari?
Oh, man, that is a tough question. Kentucky's in a tough spot, man. Lifetime contract, $35 million buyout. And this isn't just any program losing to double-digit seeds in 2 of the last 3 tournaments, and this isn't just any program not reaching the second weekend in 3 straight tournaments. This is Kentucky, and Kentucky has the highest expectations of any program in college basketball, higher than North Carolina, higher than Kansas, higher than Duke, higher than Indiana that has crazy expectations. They're in a very, very tough spot because, as we've learned over the last decade, having top 3 talent year in, year out isn't going to cut it. Especially when you have so much that you don't know when to play them and how to play them. That's been a big talking point this season, is bringing guys off the bench and when to employ them. Certainly there were issues with the front court eligibility and injuries. I honestly don't know what Kentucky does going forward because it's very hard to fire them. And while it is the job of all jobs and a lot of people would be in the running for it, you're wanting to get rid of a marquee coach because he's not performing, but are you going to be able to get someone better? I don't know.
I think a lot of coaches. You don't think Bruce Pearl could produce better results in Lexington, Charlie? Hands down.
Yes.
Hands down. Come on.
I do. And that $35 million, it's an obnoxious amount of money. But when you're Kentucky and you decide you want to make a move, you find the money, just like A&M did, with Jimbo Fisher. I don't care how much it costs. We're going to move on. And I don't think they're going to do it this year. I am interested. Calipari almost made a declaration and then walked it back in the same press conference clip last night where he says, are we going to look at, how we roster build a little bit? Yeah, we're going to go back and look at that. But we've been so successful doing it this way, and I got a great group coming in next year. So it's almost like he contradicted himself. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, we're going to consider that, but not really. We're not. We like this way of doing things.
Yeah, well, I've been to Lexington, been to Rupp, I've been to Calipari's office. I've been to those yearling sales. Those horses are quite expensive. They can find some money in that bourbon. They sell a lot of it. It comes out of that area as well. So they can get it. If they want to scratch the $35 million to get him out of there, I think it's time. I've seen enough. Yeah.
I don't think they do it this year, but almost like you're on notice for next year. You can't bow out.
He has to be under pressure for next year.
Yeah, and it has to. And it'll have almost nothing to do with the regular season.
He's got all the advantages.
He could go 28-2, and you got to do the tournament.
Charlie, he's got all the advantages. Could bring in those one and dones, but bring in some role players and some program players. What program players don't want to go play for that program?
Get in the transfer portal. You probably get some interest to go play Kentucky.
Yes, just a little.
Can't be
Troy, how did your day go yesterday? In the first day, a lot of reports, man. More and more public dog action. I looked at some of the numbers. Maybe not so much for Bet Rivers, or tell me how that worked.
Yeah, so you're right. It was a very heavy day on public dogs, but we saw just a massive amount of live betting, and I think because some of the closer games played out differently, especially that Oakland Kentucky game. A lot of people were live betting on that, and Oakland wasn't one of the heavier public dogs yesterday, towards the back of the pack, but people caught in on that. So overall, the book came out slightly on top, but there were a couple big losses for the book, a couple big public wins, but it was just, every book is going to be different because of just how much live betting there was, that kind of skews it. And if you look at the spread numbers and it says, there's 80% of the money on the spread, but a lot of people were getting aggressive alt lines or, taking a heavy favorite, like Tennessee minus 25 when they were up 24 and they ended up covering. So it was it was a very up and down day, depending on what games you bet on. Me personally, I had an okay day. I actually employed a strategy, a small unit, but it was essentially every double-digit seed, a unit to win outright. And essentially, if you can catch one or two of the big upsets, you'll end up making your money back for all of them. So, and having Duquesne, who was plus 310 on the money line, and having Oakland pregame at plus 575 on the money line, those two hitting really made me my money back betting on the however many 7 or 8 double-digit seeds that played yesterday.
Do y'all have? I'm not even sure, Troy. At Bet Rivers is the first of 15 lines.
Race to 15, yeah, we have those for individual games, yeah.
Okay. Because I was wondering if that was more is popular mobily as it is like with the actual crowds. Because we're at, the reports out of Las Vegas, and we're at a Mississippi Gulf Coast property, and I mean it's a lot of that chatter going on when the team's getting close to 15.
Northwestern hits a 3 right here.
Okay, Northwestern.
if they hit one,
the center from Baylor, Dante, 14-14. He missed the second free throw. So how much are you guys seeing that type of action?
Yeah, that's actually been one of the bet types that we've seen a lot of popularity in thus far. Other than the dogs to cover has been probably the most popular one. But people love the race to 15 and even first half lines as well. And I think there's been a lot of promotions at a lot of books identifying the race to 15 or 25 as specials and boosts. So we're seeing that not just at Bet Rivers, but I imagine a lot of other books are as well, and there's a trickle-down effect to some of the other books.
Who's the biggest action on today in the second round? Who's the most public team or two that you're looking at, Bet Rivers?
Yeah, by money, we got right now Duke minus 12. 81% of the money is on Duke to cover. 80% of the money is on Auburn to cover. They're currently at Auburn minus 14. 79% of the money is on Baylor minus 14.5. 79% of the money is also on UConn minus 27.5. So heavy favorite. Tickets, pretty similar. Auburn minus 14 is 84%. UConn, 78%. Houston minus 24 is 75%. So, while yesterday was heavy for the dogs, the public is leaning on the favorites this time. Even though James Madison in Charleston are at 74 and 65% of the money, and 72 and 68% of the money tickets respectively. So still some public play on the dogs, but the favorites seem to be taking the lion's share of the money and tickets today.
Who you like today, Troy?
I think I like most of the favorites, or at least the lower seeded or the higher seeded teams. I'm not super high on Charleston. I'm not super high on Yale or Colgate. I am kind of doing a homer pick on James Madison, but I don't have a lot of great confidence. And I would like UAB because I think they can have lightning in a bottle, but San Diego State is just such a tough team to beat and to rattle them. They're unflappable. So I don't love any upsets today, really.
I am going to go, Charlie. You talk about a team that's captured their form again. I'm back in Wisconsin today. I think that they've kind of they've got some things straight again. They had a horrendous February. They were flat out. They were not playing close to a tournament level team, and then they caught a little bit of steam, especially in the tournament. And look, even the Big Ten final, man, Illinois just. I would exhaust a little bit more energy on Garden Shannon. He's that damn good. But we saw again yesterday, they're one of the spurtiest teams, huh? They go up them 12-0 runs all the time for Illinois.
I can make a case today. It's a small dog, but I can make a case for Colorado. Florida without their big, the broken leg. Colorado had won 8 in a row before they lost to a red-hot Oregon team.
It was very 50-50 game. Yeah. They just missed some shots down the stretch.
And maybe this shouldn't matter, but it's at least in my head how bad the SEC looked yesterday outside of Tennessee. So I can make a case for Colorado.
Well, the other thing for Colorado usually do, and I'm trying to decide, but I usually play the play-in team blind. I like a team that's in rhythm. I like the team that's gotten those those big stage, the unusual aspects of it. Sometimes the gym's not completely full. The media responsibilities. I like that team that's been through it. One game forward. A lot of times we see that playing team favored, and this is a short line today at 1.5 against the Florida Gators. So much for the damn SEC. We're back to a football conference, Troy. So we were all excited this year, but we back to where we belong, man. It was a rough day for the SEC in a year where I think we've gotten. You tell me, you're a college basketball guy. Did you have a level of respect, maybe as high as ever, for the SEC this year?
100%. The SEC was the best conference in the country, bar none. I think, but better than the Big 12. And the regulars in the Big 10 and the ACC were way down. The SEC was far and away the best conference in the country. But I don't always buy into this. If a conference struggles in the tournament, that conference isn't as good. It's 64 unique, random matchups with a lot of different teams. And I never buy into the conference solidarity. I think it's also weird because, I'm sure down there the LSU fans rip the heads off of Georgia fans, who rip the heads off of Auburn fans, who rip the heads off of Florida fans, and then all of a sudden in the tournament they're all together as one. I hate that. So I think it's team versus team versus team. The conferences don't matter in March because the conferences don't put the teams together.
Thank you, Troy. Good stuff as always. Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macher. That's Machir. Thank you, Troy. We'll talk to you Monday to recap the weekend.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, don't forget our friends at MR Property Group. That's right, my friends, Miriam Del Rio and Remy Curry, big LSU sports fans. And, we talked about their great track record of getting maximum dollar for the seller, getting a better price for the buyer. And, we're also very proud over at MR Property Group that we're sponsoring the Ham Slam to raise funds for the new Hogs House. So the Hogs House, it's going to be a really, really fun stuff. Tennis, pickleball tournament, April 5th through April 5th and 6th. So MR Property Group sponsoring a great cause there. MR Property Group with Keller Williams Red Stick Partners at Baton Rouge, 230-4242, 230-4242.
Florida Atlantic with a 2-point lead, 14-12, and Baylor 13-6 at the first media timeout in the second game going today. Live from the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Ott and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, Jimmy, you know how they have those coaching clinics where they're teaching principles of basketball, and, they show films on, this is the way you do this. They ain't going to show this film. This Northwestern Florida Atlantic game.
The Northwestern big. I mean, they're just losing balls. They're throwing shots up that have no arch. It's just like, let me banging into the iron and glass. It's
28-footers.
It's like zero chance to go in. He gets underneath. He goes up for a dunk. He mishandles it, gets a putback. He's under the goal, doesn't even draw iron on a point-blank shot. So you see, you cast a character sometimes in a sports book. So when I come here for Football Sunday and I set up, there's this one guy. He drives in from Florida. He's always got his shades on inside. He's got dyed hair, and he's got his one spot. We're always there. And so he just, at the last time out, he goes, this is like watching a bunch of 8-year-olds.
It's been 16 bad minutes of basketball.
And he is right.
Yeah.
He is right. I mean, it is, oh my gosh. Look, we see these tournament games where this is part of the angle for the first half under.
Yeah.
They got some
Nervous
jitters.
and sloppy,
It's all about the nerves. That's why I stay off of the teams involved in the play-in games. They've gone through it already. And so we see low scoring. But this is just bad basketball, man. This is Florida Atlantic. They look a little bit better, but not much.
No,
it's all about Northwestern, though. It's how bad.
And it's not like, they're playing great defense. No. This is just bad misses. Bad misses, uncontested bad misses. We'll see if they can.
Well, Baylor had
shake
no
out
problem.
of it.
Their race to 15. Florida Atlantic does hit their race to 15. They hit 16-12. Northwestern did have a 3 when it was 14-12 to hit theirs, but this place erupted. So, and not much for Baylor though. Baylor kind of, maybe they bet Colgate, for the race to 15, but that one's over easy. Baylor's out the gates really strong.
21-8 Baylor, not even 7 minutes into that one. Next game to start will be at 12:45, UAB and San Diego State. We'll take a break, come back. Bruce Marshall will be with us. He'll have some picks for us for some of the games coming up later on today. We are at the BetMGM Sportsbook here at the beautiful Beau Rivage in Biloxi. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Ott and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, back over here. It's 18-16 now. Florida Atlantic under 2 minutes to go in the first half. In that one, in a double-digit lead for the Baylor Bears in that one. So 1:38 to go. First half under is in for that one, but the first half line is very, very tight. We're looking at 2.5, and it's sitting on 2 right now. Let's go to Bruce Marshall.
Yeah.
Bruce, hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, hanging in there. How you guys doing, Jimmy?
Doing good. We're at the Beau Rivage. Bruce, a winning day yesterday for you. Yesterday, man, you had a heck of a day. All we ask you to do is to duplicate it today, Bruce. You had a good one yesterday.
It worked. Let's see how these go today. We didn't have a lot of, buzzer beaters yesterday. Maybe we'll get some of those today. I have a feeling, although we had, that upset with Oakland, but I think we're due for some real last-second thrills somewhere along the line today.
What your thoughts, the highlights and lowlights of day one of the tournament yesterday?
Our man, Jermaine Cuisinart. How about him? 40 points against his old school. I thought the fact that Oregon and NC State continued their momentum from last week may end up being bigger storylines out of yesterday, because if they can continue through the weekend, then, they could still be standing into the Sweet 16, and that is pretty interesting for teams that a week ago right now we wouldn't have thought would even been in the tournament. So that is certainly interesting. And obviously, Kentucky's lost there, the ramifications there. You just wonder. I don't think Kentucky would make a move, but I know some people are getting upset there, and they're wondering if maybe Calipari's time has run out. We'll keep an eye on this. I think more than at any point. They've grumbled a few times in the past in Lexington, but now I think it's getting louder. And I still think it's unlikely that Kentucky makes a switch, but we'll be hearing a lot more about Calipari on the hot seat now than we have since he got to Lexington, in 2009.
Bruce, what's the bigger problem with him? Is it roster management or is it X's and O's?
I think it's the former, but you can make a case for X's and O's too, in the way they've sort of switched back and forth from styles and shooting threes and not shooting threes. But something about this mix and remixing it every year the way he does, and that's just part and parcel maybe in the portal era. But I think if you look at the guys who have moved in the portal the last couple of years, and he got a couple of good ones. Reeves was last year, though, and he became, pretty good scorer for them, and, he was a pretty preferred guy in the portal. But, some of the real top portal guys have not gone to Kentucky. And although Cal keeps getting the freshmen in that he wants, maybe he's going to have to aim, at the top of the portal instead and see if they got the nil there to take care of those guys. So one thing about leaving the tournament early, he gets to start working on the nil immediately if they haven't been back channeling it already since, at the end of the season here. So I think it's going to come in the portal where he's going to look for more immediate top-end help out of the portal, which he really hasn't gotten the last couple of years, but I think that might change. We'll see.
The biggest one was Sheboy, was West Virginia, right?
Yeah.
That he came over from, and you would thought, building on that success, he would have maybe gone back that avenue.
Yeah, and that was a few years ago. He got Sheboy, and now, but the last couple, he hasn't been at the top. He's gotten the freshmen in there good, but he may look back at the portal. We'll see how that goes.
I think you got to have a little balance and use all areas, and it's lopsided. But Bruce, come on, the kid from the shooter who hit 10 threes last night, and when he scored less than 10 points inside the arc all year. They acted like they had no scouting report whatsoever, which is really inexcusable from a bench coach type of X's and O's. That was poor. So
you're right. One thing, that guy's a kid. He's got a receding hairline more than me. The goalkeeper who made the. That's an old team. That's the other thing too. This is a team that grad students, fifth-year seniors, and they're generally a lot older than Kentucky, and that came to bite them last night.
All right, so Florida Atlantic takes the lead at half. John L. Davis, he loves using that glass. He got it in to finish at the end, and 20-19 at half, but Northwestern does win the first half bet. The first half is under, but the race to 15, Florida Atlantic won that one. This one is ugly, to say the least. All right, Brucey, where are we starting today? Let's go. Let's get to your picks.
Yeah, let's look at a few here, and let's go to the. Let's stay here in Brooklyn. Later today, there is one here. I don't like. Some of the dogs came in pretty good yesterday, but I'm thinking Wisconsin might actually handle James Madison, and that is an unpopular position I'm taking there because I know James Madison's got a lot of people in love with him. 31 wins. Byington is a short-listed candidate. He could end up at Louisville, West Virginia, somewhere. He's obviously a great coach. And that win over Michigan State early in the season. But I remind you, though Michigan State looked good yesterday, they did lose 14 games this season. And as good as James Madison was in the Sun Belt, did lose a couple games there. It's still not like playing the Big Ten. And Wisconsin, I thought, put some things together pretty nicely at the end of the year. Guard was not getting a lot of help from his bench when they had that string of point spread L's. but they've started to turn things around. I thought they played very well in Indy. Listen, A.J. Storr might be one of the 5 best players in the country. 6'7" wing. He can do a lot of different things. He's a very difficult matchup. And I thought Wisconsin really kind of got into their thing last week. So I might go with the Badgers, and that's the late game in Brooklyn tonight. In Indy today, couple of them here. I'm a little leery about Marquette only because you're still not sure, how Kolek and how well he's going to play. Stay in there. That is a nasty injury, the strained oblique, and he hasn't played in 3 weeks. So we'll see. But I'm going to stay away from that one. I do think Colorado's worth a look here against Florida. They got the win they needed the other night. They balanced the floor very well. They got nothing from Cody Williams, the freshman, who might be a lottery pick, Jalen's brother from Oklahoma City. But KJ Simpson, obviously one of the best guards in the Pac-12 this year. De Silva, Lampkin down on the blocks. De Silva actually he floats out to the perimeter. He's a very tough matchup. Pac-12 actually didn't do too bad yesterday, so I might give Colorado a shot there. TCU, Utah State, I think that's going over. TCU buzzes all around the floor. Very fast pace. Utah State's got some guys who can score. I'm almost thinking TCU there too, but I'm going to hold off because I think these Big 12 teams most of them are very 3-point oriented. There's a little risk there, but I do think that one goes over. A couple of totals in Memphis. I think New Mexico Clemson might go under. This is one under I'm looking at there. New Mexico slowed things down out here in Vegas last week. They have a veteran backcourt there, and I think they've sort of come into a comfort zone, not just running up and down the court. But House, Mashburn, Dent will be playing more today. I think they're okay playing at a little slower speed. This total has gone up. Last I saw 152.5. Clemson's got some guys who can score, but that is still a pretty healthy total. I think they might go under, but I'm going way over with Texas A&M, Nebraska, and I'm a little surprised. The total here is lower than that New Mexico game. Look at the points Texas A&M is putting up on the board. Look what Nebraska's doing in A&M. Direct reflection, and they started to play better. And we talked about this last week when Buzz put Manny Obaseki into the lineup. He sacrificed a little defense and rebounding for another 15, 18 minutes of Obaseki on the floor. It has paid dividends for Texas A&M. It's opened up the floor. He can shoot threes better. And teams have had to go out on the perimeter and challenge these guys down. It's opened up the floor a little bit more. Wade Taylor's had some good games. It's all happened since Obaseki went in the lineup. But I like Nebraska, too, over in that one. And out in Spokane, this one starts within the hour, Jimmy, Charlie. I'm going to give UAB a shot. San Diego State, this is a pretty healthy number. UAB's got some very good balance. They do have some postseason experience. They took it all the way to the NIT final last year, and it wasn't the big dance, but they have postseason experience like San Diego State, which I thought went a little bit too much. As good as Leday is, the rest of the team stopped getting involved down the stretch against New Mexico, and they kept feeding the ball inside, and I've seen that a few times from San Diego State. Mountain West also had a rough day yesterday, so I'm not sure I want to lay this many points. I will definitely give the Blazers a shot. Spokane, and that's coming up within the next hour.
Yeah, Leday was making all his free throws, and so it was just kind of he made like 8 in a row, but they never utilized anything else, and when it dried up, that was it. You're right. That's when New Mexico made their run. And New Mexico, we know about Mashburn and House. They've been there forever, but it was some of their bigger players, at least, made some plays down the stretch to help them out a lot. Toppin was one of them. And so, they got guards, Bruce. The guards in March. You mentioned A&M in the over. Charlie, this is so unusual to A&M to be playing these high-scoring games, man. It's not a typical Buzz Williams style of play. But, man, they have that's kind of the thing that's really surprised me, how they were like Houston light. Let's throw it up there and let's just pound the offensive glass.
That's where they make their living, on the offensive glass.
But they've started making shots the last, 6 to 8 games all of a sudden. And it kind of started the last week of the regular season when they went to Oxford and won by 30. They looked great in the SEC tournament until they finally ran out of gas against Florida late.
Yeah, that win against Kentucky was pretty eye-opening. And look, Wade Taylor's getting hot. Okay, preseason player of the year, I think, in the Southeastern Conference.
Was he?
I think he was. So you're talking about one of the top 20 or so players in this tournament, and he's coming off back-to-back 30-point performances in that SEC tournament. If he gets hot, he's the best player on the floor for either one of these teams today. So.
Bruce, you like Colorado. They wanted to play in. They get past some of those jitters. We always see tight lines from this play-in. They get some public action, and also the odds makers. Sometimes they make this public team the favorite here. So Colorado is, they've got NBA players. They got guys that are going to be drafted. So maybe finally they were expected to be good this year.
Yeah, they were, and I liked the way they balanced the floor. De Silva, Simpson gets a little more of the headlines there, but De Silva is the guy who's really a tough matchup, and they can sort of invert their offense a little bit. I mean, they can put the bigs out on the perimeter if they have to, like De Silva. So Boyle is a very clever coach, and I'm not taking anything away from Todd Golden. I think he did a great job putting this thing back up to speed. He worked the portal very well. In fact, I was talking the other night. We had dinner with UC Riverside's former athletic director, Stan Morrison, and he was telling me how Zion Pullen, the deal he got to go to Florida from Riverside. No wonder he went. But, I mean, that's the sort of selective portal work that Golden did last year. He found the guards who'd come in and help. But I think Colorado matchups, and Tad Boyle is a master coach. So I think actually in their case, playing the other night will not hurt them. Quick turnaround 2 nights later. I think they'll be ready to go. We'll see.
Bruce, what did you make of the 11 seeds roughing up the 6 seeds yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of interesting. And although, I was not surprised, NC State and Oregon at all. And I think the way this sets up, Oregon, this is the Dana Altman game against Creighton, its old employer, tomorrow. They're not giving Oregon a lot of respect here. I'm telling you, something happened to them in the Pac-12 tournament. All of a sudden, they turned it around. We talked about Cuisinart. He's scoring. Look at N'Faly Dante's numbers the last 2 games, 19 of 21 from the floor. Oregon's got a couple of bigs, though. They can also neutralize Kalkbrenner somewhat. I don't know that Creighton is quite good, but I still think last year, they had a guy like Kaluma, a little bit more explosive athleticism. They don't really have that as much this year. They're good. They can shoot. They got the big kid. But Oregon matches up pretty well, and Cuisinart is as hot as any player in the country right now. He's like Wade Taylor hot, scoring 40 yesterday against his old team. The other one here, NC State, I am telling you, I think they are a threat to go very deep here. And again, I talked about this last week. They are not relying on threes. I think that is a real plus. Look at that game last night. Look at the box score. Only 13 triples. They averaged about 17 in D.C. last week. That's a very modest number. Texas Tech took 31 last night. Half their shots were from beyond the arc, just not great shot selection. And this is mostly because of DJ Burns. He is really impressing here. Nobody can handle him down in the blocks. He's so unique. And DJ Horn, if you need threes, he can get them for you. This team is tough. Oakland, I think the run ends tomorrow. And I'm just looking at that bracket there. If Kolek isn't healthy for Marquette, I'm telling you, NC State, I can see them going all the way to the Elite Eight, maybe further. It ain't done yet. We've seen this magic before from NC State in March. Keep an eye on the Wolfpack.
Yeah,
I was dead wrong on that one, Jimmy. Yes, Texas Tech was one of my favorite plays. I couldn't have been more wrong. And Bruce is right. They moved the ball so well yesterday. 15 assists on 27 made buckets, and they lived at the free throw line, and they shot very well from there. I didn't think that they could sustain what they did over 5 days in the ACC tournament. I was wrong on that.
Five game. The one thing that at least they didn't play on Sunday, but they did have to play the Thursday game, and travel after 5 games in 5 days. The final against North Carolina on Saturday night, guys were just having to leave the game unannounced and go into the room to try and get treatment for cramps. It was just tough. But, of course, the Valvano Magic. And keep in mind, before that Magic started, they had to win the ACC tournament to get in that year. in '83. Okay, they had to win it, and they beat some pretty good teams and players along the way in Michael Jordan's North Carolina and Ralph Sampson's Virginia. The other thing we know about how is over and over every time they put the opponent at the free throw line, they seem to miss. Well, Virginia missed the front end of a 1-and-1, up 3 with less than 10 seconds to go to give them a chance at the prayer to hit to go into overtime. And then another maybe stout under the rim player carried his team, different league, but the meat hook from Florida. Brucey, what year was that when the Gators took the stout fellow and rode him all the way down to the Final Four?
I think that was with Lon, right? Back in '94.
Yes, it was Lon. Yeah,
that was with Lon. So that you can, you can do that. One other thing about NC State, Burton's did have some foul trouble last night, but they actually extended the margin a bit when he was off the floor. So Kevin Keats' bench is doing very well right now, and they're just sort of on this roll at this point. And though they are laying points tomorrow, they've been doing most of this damage as a dog. So psychologically, I'm not sure how that comes in. Mitch has mentioned that to me in VSiN this morning, but I told him that you're right, but I'm still going to ride NC State because this is something's happening here, and it's right in front of us. And this team has come together just like Oregon at the right time. That other 11 yesterday, Duquesne, I was surprised about that, but a great storyline for Danbrook. I'm not sure they can take it further against Illinois, but in that case, winning one in March for Duquesne is an awfully big deal. First time they've won a game, since the 70s in March in the dance. So nice storyline at Duquesne, although I think it probably runs out for them tomorrow against Illinois.
That's the biggest number on the board. Well, Arizona and Dayton, but yes, Illinois and Duquesne, both 9.5, the biggest lines of the game. So the 8 games. The 8 games on a Saturday. Bruce, great stuff as always. Congratulations on your great day yesterday. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, buddy.
Have a good time, guys. Thank you.
Don't forget our friends over at Jolie Pearl downtown, facing Town Square. Hey, man, and Town Square Pizza, 2 great options if you're downtown. People coming in for, to see LSU play baseball this weekend, staying downtown. Hey, suggest it. Oysters from all over the country, prepared all kinds of different ways in a brand new menu. Brand new menu at Jolie Pearl. We're pretty shucking good. In Town Square Pizza, the hottest new pizzeria downtown next to Jolie Pearl. It's hot, it's fresh, and it's good. And it's affordable as well. Town Square Pizza and Jolie Pearl, both downtown, facing Town Square.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
From the family that brought you the Pierre Part store, the Thibodaux store in Thibodaux, 900 St. Patrick Highway. We'll tell you about all your home improvement projects that you can get outfitted for at the Thibodaux store. But, hey, you can have some fun, too. So if you're looking to spruce up your outside patio area with some cooking gear, barbecue pits, the big green egg cookers, they've got those at the Thibodaux store. Your Cypress furniture. We've got some custom-made Cypress furniture that you can get there. Cooking pits, barbecue pits, large and small crawfish and jambalaya pots. All of these available at the Thibodaux store. If you're heading down fishing, all of your fishing gear, all of your crawfish nets, all of your traps, your ice chest, you can get them all at the Thibodaux store. And right now, you can register to win one of 2 $500 gift certificates that they'll be giving out at the Thibodaux store in the month of May. So get down and get registered for that as well. The Pierre Part store has been in business since 1911. These guys know what they're doing, the family, extending this to the new Thibodaux store that opened just a couple of years ago. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, the Thibodaux store.
Conference tournament, they do, and they closed well in the win against San Diego State in the final. So they're here. Clemson, man, they've got some nice road victories. I mean, wins at Chapel Hill, win in Tuscaloosa, and a just miss in Durham against Duke. A controversial call decided that one to give Duke a 1-point victory. New Mexico, 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, it's public, but I think I love the public here. I think it's public for the right reasons. This is a really overseeded team in Clemson that is on the 6th line, but per KenPom should be a 9 seed. And New Mexico, who's on the 11 line, they're actually the most underseeded team in the entire tournament. Per KenPom, they should be a 6 seed. So the fact that the lower-ranked team or the lower-seeded team here is a favorite makes a lot of sense. To me, the Mountain West Conference has not been performing well in the tournament yet, and I think that's understandable because I really didn't believe too much in teams like Boise State and Colorado State. New Mexico is one of the teams in the Mountain West, along with San Diego State, that I do believe in. They've got an argument that they've got the best guard backcourt trio in the country. 3 different guys that all can exploit Joe Girard. That's the big thing for me personnel-wise. I don't know who Girard's going to guard in this game. But there's going to be a mismatch somewhere. The fast tempo will cause problems for the way Clemson wants to play. I'm going to side with the public, take New Mexico to cover here.
All right, let's move on. Auburn and Yale. Auburn out of the SEC wins the conference tournament. They're on a roll, and many people feel they're underseeded. Top 5 NET, top 5 KenPom, but a 4 seed, and they're also in UConn's bracket. But their first game here against Yale, who stole one with a 7-point run in the last 20 seconds in the Ivy League championship against Brown.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get Lightning to strike twice here. I was on Oakland yesterday mostly because I loved the matchup. Everything that Oakland does well maps really well with what Kentucky was vulnerable in. In this matchup, to me, everything that Auburn does that allows them to create separation against undermanned teams, Yale is very, very good at combating. Yale doesn't turn the basketball over. Auburn wants to run and jump, force turnovers, get out and run. Yale is elite at preventing offensive rebounds. The 13th in the country there. Auburn lives on the offensive boards using their athleticism. I already mentioned Yale's going to slow it down. That could really frustrate Auburn the same way it frustrated Arizona last year when Princeton knocked them off in the first round. But most importantly, Danny Wolf is a high major superstar in disguise in a Yale uniform. I mean, next year there may not be a player more coveted in the transfer portal once we get to the summer than Danny Wolf. And I don't mean to speculate that he's going to leave, but the interest will be there. Schools like Kansas will offer this man extremely large contracts to join their team and start for their team. He's a perimeter big that can draw Janai Broom out from the rim, kind of neutralize his shot blocking. And in the end here, I'm trusting the Auburn guards will get frustrated the longer this game goes on, the later these possessions run. I love Yale plus 13 in this spot. And boys, I'm going to be so bold. I'm going to take some of my Oakland winnings from yesterday and put it on Yale money line.
All right. Let's move on and look at the next one. Jeez, I'm all over the place here. Nebraska, Texas A&M. Nebraska finally got a couple of hits on the road. Man, they were home and away splits. I mean, that was as extreme as anybody in the Power 5, Power 6 leagues this year. Nebraska and A&M looking right now over here at the
1.5
at the Beau Rivage. It is Nebraska 1.5. 1.5 over the Aggies.
Yes. The top 7 country nationally March 1st. I'm trying to go through it. Why are each team at the right time? To me, Texas A&M is playing their best basketball. In that span, they've got wins over Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi State, very good basketball teams. In that same span, Nebraska's wins. Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, Minnesota, Rutgers, Michigan again, and Indiana again. The common thread between those teams is they're all horrible basketball teams. I think Nebraska's getting a big boost here, a belief that they've turned it around, when in reality they've been the recipient of a really, really beneficial schedule. They blew a big lead against Illinois, got outscored by 20 in the second half. And matchup-wise in this one, none of Nebraska's players, nobody on the roster can guard Wade Taylor. Wade Taylor's one of the most prolific guards in the country, explosive guy who will try and get 40 in this game. And Nebraska's answer is either Keisei Tominaga or Jack Hoiberg. Those guys, Sam Hoiberg, I think. I don't even know the guy's first name, but I know it's Fred Hoiberg's own son. That doesn't bode well here. They're going to have to go zone. A&M's the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country. If Nebraska goes zone, they're going to beat them up on second chances. I love A&M to create some separation and win this game.
Is that right? They're even ahead of Houston as the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country, and that's the thing, Greg, that they've kind of found the last 5, 6, 7 games. I mean, they're scoring now. I mean, so they and one of the guards has really been hot. So that's the thing, that they're still pounding that offensive glass, but they are knocking down some shots way more than what they were. All right, and finally, Greg, Whiskey and James Madison. Can Whiskey sustain this late season form where they will look so good in the Big Ten tournament?
No, they cannot, Jimmy. That's my belief here. I believe there's some shooting regression incoming here. And if you look at Wisconsin through the season, it's been a 3-part season. Before February 1st, they shot 36% from three-point range. I think that's about who they truly are, like as shooters. That's what I believe in. Then from February 1st on, for the next 40 days, they shot 30% from three. They couldn't beat anybody because they couldn't hit a shot. They were one of the worst teams in the country. Then the Big Ten tournament gets here. They go lights out, 41% over 4 games, and one of those games included a game where I think they only made 4 threes or something. So there were 3 games where they were about 50% or higher from three. I don't think that can continue. It certainly is going to be tough because James Madison has the second best three-point percentage defense in this entire sport. Nobody makes threes against them. And then you flip end to the court here. Wisconsin's been horrible at guarding the three-point line all year, 345th in the country. James Madison shoots 36% from three. That's 41st in the sport. I think this is a simple who's going to make shots game. The profile says that it will be James Madison. And if last week was any indication, Wisconsin's due for like a 2 for 20 game from three. That would spell death for the Badgers this season.
Very good. All right, New Mexico, Yale, A&M, and James Madison. Greg, I know you're busy, man. Thanks so much for taking time and joining us, coming up with your picks. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck to you this weekend, brother.
Same to you guys. Enjoy the madness. We'll talk next week.
All right, Carl Johnson, Jake Jack with us when we come back. Live at lunch, live at the Beau Rivage. March Madness, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Another fun weekend coming up for you at Big Mike's. In fact, we will be there for the show on Monday. Live music every weekend at Big Mike's is highlighted by High Water. That's coming up Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Watch all your NCAA tournament action. If you're getting off of work, go off one of the best happy hours in and around Baton Rouge. From 3 until 7 with $2.50 domestic beer, both draft and bottles, $4 Wells and $4 wine. And that's all day on Sunday, so you can watch all of the hoops with happy hour drink prices at Big Mike's on Monday. Don't forget, of course, they've got multiple party rooms, so any size gathering, you can have it at Big Mike's, and they do off-site catering if you prefer that particular option. Listen, they've been in Denham Springs a long time, and right now you can get ball crawfish every day at Big Mike's. We've been waiting for crawfish. You got them now every day at Big Mike's. The Denham Springs Institution on Aspen Square. The Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Ott and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, if the Northwestern big could actually catch the ball when he's under the goal all by himself.
Let's stay positive. Come on, all positive Friday here, Charlie.
5-point lead for Northwestern.
Don't you start your negative Nancy stuff. No.
Northwestern 7 for 9 here in the second half. 14 minutes to go. Northwestern by 5.
Carl, again, thank you so much. We'll be back Sunday with a short show, setting up our radio coverage back home of March Madness. But man, thanks for everything you do to make this possible. Of course, and we couldn't do it without you. And the other thing, it's nice to work with people who. We're just partners together, man. If I'm not yelling at them if I need one more screen over here or the whole thing. Right. But man, you guys and your staff, those tellers, they worked hard. A monster ticket writing day yesterday, huh?
Yeah, really was. I mean, I'm so proud of them. That. But you know what? They think that we're not as busy. And one of the reasons we get in this little scuttlebutt, I have to show them ticket proof because what's happened is from where they started, 5 years ago to where they're at now, they're just better at what they do. I mean,
you're talking about the betting public is not losing as much. The hold of the total handle is not as high.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is my writers getting the job done. They've got season underneath them now, and they're writing tickets faster, more accurate.
Your bettors are more educated. Ready to do what they need to do.
That's right.
So it's the execution times have speeded up a lot.
Really good. Yep.
Yeah, so how much, did y'all set a record on how many tickets you wrote for a day? How does it compare to Super Bowl Sunday? Because I think this place had a little bit more intensity, energy, people, period, than Thursday last year.
Yeah, so, from what I'm hearing, across the country, everybody's handles seem to be a little bit down, but ticket counts are up, so that's a good sign. We didn't set we haven't set a record. We beat last year's ticket count, which was extremely good. Our ticket count yesterday was really, really high. We just didn't have the large wagers that we're accustomed to having.
Okay.
So that lowered our handle, and from what I'm hearing of friends all throughout the country, they pretty much had the same degree of issue there. But ticket count was extremely high, and that's a good sign. It was a good day yesterday, and a lot of traffic in here as well as today.
Yeah, and the race to 15, the place went nuts when Florida Atlantic just nipped out Northwestern. The race to 15 took a little bit longer than usual, just as a short attention span bet. But for that game, it went to the 5-minute mark instead of 5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, so I did a show last night with Tim Murray and JVT.
Now don't play him in basketball. Tim will post you up, Carl.
Right.
That's a big old dude. That's a tall dude.
Yeah, and one of the things that Jonathan Van Tobel asked me was, these markets now. So, and we're talking about the race to 15. Some places do different variations, race to 30 and stuff like that. But those have become very, very, very popular markets because the youth nowadays. I told him, look, when I started out, all you could do was bet the damn game. You didn't even have first halves when I started out.
Have you noticed, and one thing that's made an impression since it's been legal in Louisiana is how many young people are into the sports gambling. And I'm at a restaurant over here, the guy's talking about, I got this prop, I got this one, I'm taking this team to go to the Final Four. I mean, I'm just in more prop oriented. You see it's a fusion of youth here?
I see that, and also I'll tell you something. So for whatever reason in the past, I guess it's a manly, sports is a manly thing. Well, I'm going to tell you that's not true. If I had to say what was the biggest growing side of the market, it's women sports betting.
Really?
And now you got young women sports betting. It's just the youth is really involved in.
That's all I need.
Well, you need to. It'd be nice to find a girlfriend that sports bet, right?
No, probably not.
The last thing he needs is a female version of himself.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, I don't want that.
By the way, you made the list.
Yeah.
I walked in.
What list? What
There's
list?
a bolo. I mean, we put out a bolo. Like the night before, you hit 8,000. Well, I seen a bolo on him. I mean, he run over the pits last night for a couple of thousand.
Well, when the basketball bets aren't falling, you got to go back to what you know. And,
that's right.
And play some poker. That handle thing, I wanted to ask you, how much of the youth is because the digital is there? I'm going to make another analogy to poker. When Chris Moneymaker won the World Series, and poker started to explode, but it exploded with the young people when online poker was legal in this country. They're playing, so many more hands an hour than they could before that. Is that another big reason?
That's what you're seeing. So, I mean, that stuff is, it some places has been going on a little while, but it's in its infancy stages. I mean, it's just now, now we're in 33 states. So this is growing.
It's 38, huh, Charlie?
Yeah, 30.
North Carolina, I thought made 38 plus the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
I'm old, so I can only remember but anyway, it's such a growing market right now. It's just there's no telling where it's going.
I have a few people that come to the Baton Rouge shows and stuff like, and the young people, and they have tons of questions and they want to learn and they want to, they want to be good at it.
Yeah.
And the one thing is, the biggest thing is it's very unpredictable. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But, values and line movements and things like that. And I think you're seeing a more sophisticated sports bettor that's coming up with the younger generation. I don't think there's any doubt.
There's no doubt about it. And, I mean, look, we're talking about this stuff live and on air. You used to not be able to talk about that stuff. We had to stay in the shadows and talk about it.
Right.
So now you got a more educated population. The youth is coming up; they're more educated. So it's you're getting more sharps as a result of that. People looking for those line moves and stuff like that.
There you go. Did you see a lot of reports around the country? Our friends over at Circa said they weren't pulling for one favorite. One underdog yesterday.
Yeah.
It was dog action. We know that this event, people bet what they want to pull for.
Right.
So they want to pull for the underdogs in the first 2 days. But I mean, it was unbelievable. You had Kentucky, so that was one favorite that they bet you here.
That's right.
Any other big chalk that they took yesterday?
No, I mean we were balanced yesterday.
Okay.
Which is that's good for us. Whenever we can stay balanced, I think favorite to dog was 9-7 or something like that.
Yeah. And that's with the line going to 20.5.
Right.
That was one of the 7 dogs. So it was closer. It was very close to 10-6.
And you were in here. That was one of the biggest reactions we got all day. Was when they ran the clock out right there.
Biggest reactions when we hit that trifecta.
Well, yeah, you and Bobby, but you got Bobby Mahoney picking your stuff for you though.
Well, it takes a village, Carl.
Yeah.
Okay. Carl, we appreciate it, man. We're out of time, brother. Big success again. Man, they are some people from Baton Rouge and New Orleans that made the trip, that made a point to come and tell us hello.
I mean, you guys are like a rock band. I mean, you really, and I'm not picking when I say this. You guys really have a strong following. You've been doing it forever, and it just feels like you're at home. That's what it feels like.
This is our home base, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank
you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
At Jack Johnson. Cooking tips also, man.
Oh, yeah.
Man knows how to work his magic in the kitchen. Yeah. Live at lunch, live at the Beau Rivage, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
March Madness live at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch with Ott and Annie on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, first game of the day, Northwestern leading now 48-41. That game is inside of 9 minutes. Baylor with a comfortable lead on Colgate, 54-38. That's early. They've just started the second half there. San Diego State and UAB are underway. 5 minutes in, Aztecs by a bucket at 11-9. And at the top of the hour, Western Kentucky and Marquette, the next game that's going to tip. Here at the Beau Rivage. We'll be back on Sunday, a special Sunday show from 10 until 11, leading in our coverage of the games that day. So we're back in our old time slot.
I'm going with Colorado to play in. I like that, be past the jitters. I'm against New Mexico. I'm on Clemson in that one. I'm a little surprised. I do like G. Wizzy's Texas A&M pick against Nebraska. A&M, we know they're talented. They're a little bit more athletic than Nebraska. They're scoring as well, along with that great rebounding. I think Bama's really limping into the tournament. I don't know how good they are. I'll go with College of Charleston, who is always, just right there to pull off a win. We'll see if they can get over the hump and get that outright victory as a 9.5-point dog today. And I like St. Mary's against Grand Canyon. I like the way they play, and it's a battle of tempo. St. Mary's never loses the battle of tempo.
No, they will get their pace.
And I'm on Wisconsin big. Yeah, I'm liking them to continue what they thought. They were supposed to be really good this year. They got A.J. Storr, finally a little offensive punch, the transfer from Rutgers to, complement their defensive and rebounding team. And they're playing good basketball late, man. Illinois was just red hot in the final.
I'm back and forth in the game. G. Wizzy makes some real good points about the 3-point differential with those two teams. Although we had in that game that Wisconsin won, the last game they won in the Big Ten tournament, they shot like 22% from 3-point range and still won. So they've been able to.
It's a small number, Charlie.
Yeah,
5.5.
I can't make up my mind. I haven't been able to pick Wisconsin coming or going. St. Mary's Grand Canyon, the last game of the day, it tips off at 9:05.
Yeah, Northwest, and we got that games on the radio on this station all weekend long. We'll be back on Sunday to preview it. Purple Cats up 9 at the 7:10 mark. In the second half there.
Thanks to everybody for participating, and thanks to our guest, our hosts here at the Beau Rivage. For Jimmy Ott, I'm Charles Hanger. Jordan back in the studio saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN.